Hi Mark, welcome to Mark's Tech Vlogs on YouTube, and today we're going to get up and running with Homebridge on a Raspberry Pi. Now Homebridge is an operating system that can bring Apple HomeKit support to devices in your smart home that aren't naturally supported by Apple Home. A couple of really good examples of this are Nest products, but also products made by Tua as well. Now there are obviously more complicated ways of doing this using things like Home Assistant, which is a big learning curve, but personally over the last few years I've found that Homebridge is enough for what I want. It allows me to add things into Apple Home that I wouldn't usually be able to have in there, but then also run automations and things via Apple Home directly. This allows me to keep all of my devices in Apple Home and just have one very simple place where I add the things that aren't compatible. One of the great things with Homebridge is there are loads of official and unofficial plugins out there already you can add to it, which means you can get almost anything up and running with it. If you know a bit of code, you can also create your own. I've previously done this with the locked smart lock, but also more recently by adapting the Tua plugin to work with the Morphy Richards ductless air conditioner. There'll be more about that in a separate video. In this video, we're going to install Homebridge together and get up and running. And there are lots of different ways you can install Homebridge, so you can install it on your existing Mac or on your existing Windows machine. The disadvantage of this is obviously it's going to cost you more in running costs because it's getting plugged into the mains all the time, but also if it's a laptop you've got and you take it out of the house, it's not going to work anymore. So the best way to do it is actually to use a Raspberry Pi. And these are basically mini computers that are very, very affordable. And because Homebridge doesn't use a huge amount of resources, you can install it on something like a Raspberry Pi Zero. These start at about £20, and then you might want to get a case and a power supply on top. I would, however, recommend actually using something like a Raspberry Pi 3B or above. And that's because it's got an Ethernet port on, and that's going to help with reliability. I'll put links to everything you're going to need below, including a Raspberry Pi 3B, a good case, and of course you are going to need a memory card as well, so it's going to be a micro SD card. I like the SanDisk Extreme ones because they're a bit more reliable, and again I will put a link to that below. The other advantage of doing it by Ethernet is you're not going to need to worry about having an external keyboard and mouse for your Raspberry Pi. So all that being said, let's get stuck in. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come to homebridge.io in our web browser here, and you're going to be presented with this screen. Now, you've got some options up here about where you want to install it. So this is a Raspberry Pi logo, this is a Linux logo, we've got Apple, we've got Docker, and we've got Windows. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Raspberry Pi here, and we've got two options for this. So the Raspberry Pi image is the quickest way to get it running on a Raspberry Pi, or you can install it yourself on any Raspberry Pi running Raspbian. So I'm going to take the assumption here that this is just like a beginner's guide. We want to get this up and running quickly and forget about it. So we're not going to do the latter. This is actually what I've got on my own installation, because I do have a local web server running on it as well. I've mentioned in a few videos my day job is as a web developer, so I do all sorts of things with my Raspberry Pi, and I've got some other code running in the background, but we're going to use this. So we're going to click this. Okay, so we end up on this page here, and it says step 1, download and flash to an SD card. So what it basically means is we're going to install this onto an SD card ready to put in our Raspberry Pi. Now, this bit here says, note, the Homebridge image is temporarily not available for download within the Raspberry Pi image tool. This isn't actually true, so we can ignore this and just download the Raspberry Pi imager here. We can click that, and that will show you this here, and you can just download whichever operating system you've got. Now, I've already got mine installed, so let's jump into that and open it. So first thing we can do is click this and choose Raspberry Pi device. So I'm going to put it on the 3, so I'm going to click that. Next, we're going to choose the operating system. And you've got loads of things on this list, but we're going to scroll down to Other Specific Purpose OS, where it says things like home automation, 3D printing, specialized operating systems. And if we scroll down here, we can see Home Assistance and Home Automation. So we're going to click through there, and there we can see Homebridge. So we're going to click that. And we're going to choose the 64 gig because we've got the Raspberry Pi 3B. And then finally, we're going to choose storage. So make sure you have plugged your micro SD card into your computer. And I've got it just up here. Now, this process is going to wipe that SD card, so anything you've got on there that you want to keep, make sure you rescue first. I'm going to hit next, and we can apply customization settings at this point. So we're just going to click edit settings, I'll show you what's there. Now, you can do things like here, like setting username and password and host name, and set Wi-Fi if you want to as well. I'm not going to do any of this. I'm just going to say no clear settings. So we're going to say, yes, we want to continue. And this will then ask you for your password if you're on a Mac, and it will prepare to write onto this for you. Okay, so it's all been written to that SD card, so we can now remove that SD card. And we can also close this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the SD card into our Raspberry Pi. So let's do that. Okay, so I plugged it in. I've also plugged in the Ethernet. If you're planning to use it with Wi-Fi, you're going to want to have configured those Wi-Fi settings during the Raspberry Pi setup with that Raspberry Pi Imager app we just had on screen. Or you're going to need to have an external keyboard and mouse that you can plug into your Raspberry Pi, and you plug it into a monitor so you can set up the Wi-Fi initially. But because we've done it via Ethernet, we should just be able to go to homebridge.local in our web browser. Okay, and you'll get this on screen at this point where it just says Homebridge is starting now. So we're going to have to wait for that to load up. Okay, and we've got something here called Welcome to Homebridge. So we're going to click Get Started. And the first thing you do is put in a username and a password. So make sure you know what these are because you need to come back to them. For the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to put Marks Tech Blogs, and I'm going to use exactly the same as the password because this isn't my installation. Of course, in real life, you'd want to make sure you use a secure password. So hit Create Account. And now it says, congratulations, the setup process is complete. You're now ready to start using Homebridge. So let's click Open Dashboard. So this is what the Homebridge dashboard looks like to start with. So there's a couple of things to see. We've got things like the load on the CPU and memory and uptime and network activity. These things you don't really need to worry about too much. This QR code is a really important thing, and we'll come on to that in a second. We've got some details about the system here, and on the left hand side we've got some things to do with updates. So we've got an update available for Homebridge UI, so I'm going to click the update here and we're going to run that update. Okay, so that update's run, so we're just going to hit restart. And one of the great things about Homebridge is a restart doesn't take long at all. Okay, so Homebridge has restarted. So let's talk through this dashboard a little bit more. So here you've got something called a console, and I'm aware all of this looks really complicated, but it really isn't. And this basically just outputs anything that happens. So if you change a device or it gets a bit of information, it will output that. We can see on load, it's given us a HomeKit code. And really all of this is just pretty simple. You've got things like your host name on the right. So the first thing I'd recommend doing is going to your Apple Home app, hitting the plus at the top, clicking Add Accessory and scanning that QR code on the screen there. It will prompt you to add a bridge to your Apple Home where you can name it and give it a room. From that point on, anything you add to Homebridge will automatically get added into Apple Home for you. So if I just show you mine very quickly, you can see I've got the Homebridge bridge here, and then if I click accessories, I can see all the accessories I've got added to my Apple Home. And it really is that simple. Once one's added, you can rename it and add it to a room. So let me just show you a couple of other things while we're in this dashboard, and then I'll switch to my actual live Homebridge and show you what that looks like. So on the left hand side here, we've got a menu, and we've got things like status, which is this home page that we're on here. We've got plugins, we've got accessories, we've got logs, terminal, JSON config, settings, support, power options, and logout. So if we work upwards, it's pretty simple. So logout does exactly what you'd expect. Power options gives you the option to restart Homebridge, restart HP service and UI, restart the operating system, and shut it down. Most of the time you'll just use this top one here, but a lot of the time it all kind of happens automatically anyway if you do something. We've got a support page here with documents and things, and again, you're probably not going to use this. I don't think I've ever visited this page beyond this tutorial. Then we've got settings here, so you can name it. So that's you've got some advanced settings here. You've got options to back up and restore, so you might want to go in here and back it up every so often. You've got things like user accounts, so you can add more than one user account, and you can also add two-factor authentication if you want to. We've got the option to set language, change a theme, change lighting mode. So this all looks really dark because my operating system is in dark mode. If we change it to light, it'll look like this. I'm going to stick with the dark mode. We've got menu mode, so we can keep that menu always open if we want to, or we can keep it closed. I'll just have default. Temperature units, debug mode, which again you probably won't need to worry about. Insecure mode, which means you can control accessories via the Homebridge UI, which is this that we're looking at right now. Things like network, Homebridge ports, And basically, you don't need to worry about most of this. The only thing you might need to worry about at some point is removing individual accessories. So what it does is it creates a cache, which basically means when you add a device, every time it loads up, it doesn't re-add that device. It looks for devices it's previously added. And sometimes you might want to refresh a device manually. So to do that, you'd click this and you'd remove a device this way and it would restart for you. That wouldn't change any of your setup in Apple Home, but it would kind of force that device to refresh. And I'll probably cover that in another video at some point. We've then got JSON config, which again, you don't need to worry about. You literally might come in here and download that if you wanted to. We've got terminal, which again, you probably won't ever use unless you need to update Node, and at which point you literally just type that into here, like, and hit return. It's really, really simple. We've got logs, which basically just tells you everything going on. So this is basically a bigger version of this from the home screen. We've got accessories, which are all the accessories you've got added, and there's none here, but I'll show you mine in a second. And then we've got plugins as well, which I will show you while we're here. So basically, there's lots of plugins. So if you wanted to add, for example, let's say a tour device. If we search for tour, we've got different plugins here. And basically, anything with a green shield is approved by Homebridge, and anything without is not. So all these plugins, you can click the little download icon, and it will show you the options to download it. So you can pick the latest version or choose a specific version. You can also click this to get a bit more information and go to plugin homepage if you want to see more about it. So the tour one, for example, tells us even more about it. So this is in fact not the official tour plugin, but it is verified. We can see that. So this is the official one by Tour, and we can tell that because it's by Tour themselves and Tour Homebridge. And this is kind of where Homebridge gets a little bit complicated at times, because the Tour plugin is a great example because there's loads and loads of different versions of it. So there are lots of different plugins. Generally, you want to find the official one if you can. So the trick to finding official ones is to look at this @ thing here. So for example, that's the author. So this one is by Tour Developer, so we can spot that this is probably the real one, and we can click that and go to the plugin homepage to double check that, which is of course where we were just now, so we can see that this is the official one. But there are times when you want to use the unofficial one. So I'll show you one more. So SwitchBot, I've got one. This is by SwitchBot Wonderlabs. This is the official one, and you can install that as well. So to install any of these plugins, you click the little download icon, and generally you want to hit this for latest, and that will install the latest version. Once it's installed one, it will reboot and start again. So let me jump to my actual installation and show you a bit more. Okay, so here is my actual installation of Homebridge. You can see this looks a little bit different because I've just laid it out a bit differently, but it's all effectively the same. We can see that this says paired, and if I go into plugins to start with, you can see the plugins that I've got installed. So I've got 5 plugins. I've got one called Homebridge Shelly, which is for a Shelly smart plug, which actually I don't have in Apple Home anyway, so I probably don't need this. I've got one here called Homebridge Samsung Tizen, which basically gets my TV into Apple Home as a nice easy on-off switch. I've got one called Homebridge Dummy. This one is really useful because you can create fake items. So for example, I've made a previous video about how I've automated locking my front door when the last person leaves. You can't do that naturally in Apple Home automation because anything that controls a security device will want a prompt. So if you add your lock into when the last person leaves, you'll get a prompt to run that automation. What you can do is change the lock status based on the status of something else. So I've got a dummy switch in my Apple Home from this plugin, and that turns off when the last person leaves home, and then my lock is set to lock if that switch turns off. That sounds complicated. I've made a whole other video about that. I've got the SwitchBot plugin here, and I actually only use this for their leak sensor because that's not supported by their Matter platforms. I'm not really sure why, but this means I can get SwitchBot leak sensor into Apple Home. And then I've got this plugin here called Homebridge Tour Platform Extra. And you can see this isn't the official one. This is one actually made by me. And basically what this is a copy of the official Tour plugin, but with some extra functionality. So I've added in some extra code to support the Morphy Richards ductless air conditioner, but also to work with 2 leak sensors I've got from Tour as well, and that pushes those into Apple Home. Each of these plugins have their own config, so you can go into plugin config and put in a load of details, which obviously I'm not showing you here. And there's loads of support out there for each of these plugins and what to config. So SwitchBot, for example, you have to put in a API key and secret, and the SwitchBot app will tell you how to get those. So there's instructions for all of these things. Homebridge dummy, I can show you a bit more. So you basically create different devices using the plus here. So I've got one here called lock. It's stateful, which means it's either on or off. You can create a dimmer if you want to with this. You can reverse it. You can set a timer if you want to automatically change it after a while, all sorts of things, but that's your config for that. The other way you can do config is with JSON, which just looks like this. So it's everything for that last window, but just set up like this. You probably won't use this very often, and I'm aware this all looks overly complicated, but it's really not. Each of these plugins have their own instructions, and they can help you work out which is which. The Tour one in particular is great because it literally just scans for anything compatible on the network based on your Tour credentials. However, to get the Tour one up and running, you do actually have to set up an application on developers.tour.com. I'll make a separate video of how to get Tour up and running with Homebridge at some point. And then let's go into accessories. So here you can see all of the accessories on my network from this. And if I open my Apple Home app at the same time, you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 accessories here, and these are all the accessories that are here. So we've got a kitchen leak detector, we've got bathroom leak detector, both of these are from Tour. We've got another leak detector, which is the SwitchBot one. We've got a bathroom meter. So this is a SwitchBot indoor-outdoor humidity and temperature sensor, which I've decided to expose with this, just it's a bit more reliable. We've got a few links to the ductless portable air conditioner from Morphy Richards. It's quite a complicated device. It supports different modes. So when I was coding this, and again I will do another video on this, I basically created a variety of accessories for it. We've got a TV here, we've got a lock. So there's all sorts of things here, and you can see all of those things in Apple Home. So here they are in Apple Home, and of course I've named them differently and put them into a room. So if we take this for example, you can see my bathroom meter has 2 accessories. Got the temperature and humidity. They're in the bathroom and I've named it there as well. But that is these 2 things that are here. And you can control them from here as well if you want to. You can also unlock this screen if you want to drag around and reorder. But you can see that we can control all these things if we want to. So there's a mute button there as well for the TV. So there you go. That is how we get Homebridge up and running. So I hope you guys have found this video helpful. If you've got any questions, stick them below and I'll answer them for you. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys again soon.